Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to today's episode of Thoughts of Leaders. Today we'll be discussing parent-child relationships with the founder of the Islamic Leadership Institute of America, Brother Ayman. So, Brother Ayman, the first question I want to ask you is, what is the most important factor in order for parents and children to have an open and healthy relationship?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Khatamul Nabiyyin. So most important is open communications. As long as the young person can feel comfortable and safe reaching out to their parents to discuss anything, then you would have engagement taking place. When we come across households or youth who typically are not closely connected with their parents, we find that they usually don't share things with them. They don't talk. And it's mostly because the parents have not exerted effort, especially at the younger ages when children were still, young, to encourage them to come and talk and share and so forth. And what we'll find is that usually when the kids are, elementary school, 5-year-old children, the parents have not spent time with them, taking them out for a walk, playing with them, reading a book for them, and that kind of stuff. And as they grow, the children become more independent too early, and it creates a barrier between the parent and the child. So you want your children to be independent, but not earlier than the healthy age, which is usually late middle school, around maybe the age of 12 or 13. But to have them too independent at the age of 7 or 8 is just not healthy.
So you mentioned lack of communication and becoming independent too early, but what else do you think causes breaches in family relationships?
There are many other things. So you're specifically here talking about the connection or the relationship between the children and the parent. Definitely other problems in the family. So if there's a divorce going on or problems between the two parents, for example, that could affect how much the child or the teenager can approach the parent. What we find also is that youth are very sensitive and they have always a sense of responsibility in what happens at home. So sometimes we will come across youth who are active, overactive, especially boys. They fall into trouble, they cause chaos and things like that. That causes or introduces stress on the parents, which in return comes back and causes a sense of guilt to the young person. So they start to develop that feeling that they're part of the problem that's going on. And if there's an issue in the household, they typically take more of a backseat than normal. So problems between parents would definitely be a factor in how much their children would approach them and be open to talk to them about things. What I hear a lot from young people is, oh, my parents don't care. Like, they don't care how late I stay out. They don't care if I share this with them or not. Sometimes that's not correct. The young person has just developed that perception that the parent doesn't care when the parent really might be caring. They just don't have the time or the ability to convey that because there's other problems happening in the household.
So what are some signs of a parent-child relationship that is falling apart? And how can a family that starts to experience these signs or see them, how should they fix it?
That's a great question. So for very young children, ages 2 and under, a sign could be a father or a mother who's not involved in the direct care of the child. For example, fathers who don't change the diapers for the kid, fathers who don't feed the child, fathers who don't take him out or her out for a 10-minute walk, a father who does not take his daughter to the store to get her a pair of socks. When you find a parent who's not directly involved in these everyday activities, that's a sign that the parent needs to take note of. Especially with first-time parents, they don't have yet the experience to raise a kid. Many Muslims typically learn how to take care of a child through their parents. So the sister goes to her mom, she gets the advice from the mom. Now, if the family is an immigrant family, they live here alone, they don't have an extended family, they don't really have that support. Other than on the phone, she can get advice and whatnot. But actually, what we find is that there are classes that hospitals and wellness centers provide for new parents, how to take care of your newborn child, how to change a diaper, how to put them to sleep, how to burp them, how to read them a good night story. And usually these classes are around and they're offered all over the place, up to maybe ages 7 and 8, how to take care of your child up to that age. But beyond that, there are really no classes, how to take care of your teenager and your preteen and your high schooler and your college kid. So that's an area where ILIA is actually very involved. We have a number of classes for parents, how to communicate effectively with your teenager, how to prep your middle schooler to deal with issues in life and things like that. So it's really an element that many Muslim families are very inexperienced, how to care for a preteen, a 9 to 13-year-old, how to care for a 13 to 18-year-old, and how to be ready for college with your kid. Back to your question, signs. So at the young age, it's not direct involvement. At an older age, parents who are just not directly, again, aware. What is your child doing right now? Are they playing on their phone a game, or are they surfing news on the internet, or what exactly are they doing on their phone? But we find, again, sometimes parents just take it for granted that my kid goes to a good school, he has Muslim friends, he's hanging out with the sons or daughters of our Muslim family friends, so all is good. But that's not always the case. The parent needs to be directly, again, involved. So at an older age, at the ages of maybe 4 to 7, that's where you need to be teaching them things, how to read, how to ride a bicycle, how to plant some seeds, how to pick tomatoes and things like that. So again, if that's absent, that's another sign that problems will happen down the road. Parents need to get involved. When they grow up a little bit more, between 9 and 11, that's when you want to be engaged with playing sports. So if it's a boy, the father should be playing soccer or jogging or whatever. If it's a girl, maybe she's helping her mom in the kitchen, washing the vegetables, things like that, going grocery shopping with her. Or vice versa, the boy can help his mom and so forth. And also for girls, we don't find many dads who engage their girls with certain types of activities like cutting the grass and fixing the lawnmower and things like that, thinking that these are boys' activities. There's no such thing. Let your child pick and choose. If she's interested in fixing the lawnmower, let her do that. But these are the types of things that are healthy. And if you don't find the father taking his daughter and son to Isha for prayer, that's a sign that brings you some attention. If you are cutting the grass by yourself every weekend and your kids are just not there at all, again, that means there's a disconnect. And the more that disconnect takes place, the more difficult when they're older to bridge that gap until maybe they're 23, 24 or something like that. But you really want to be engaged in their lives. We find parents who have not been engaged, and then all of a sudden, like when the kid is 14, he says, "Hey, Dad, I'm going out to the movies with my friends." Like, no, I'll take you. It's like, hey, where were you 14 years ago? You never took me to a movie. You never took me to a soccer game. You never took me even to a chat. Why would you take me now? So these are some of the signs that people can pay attention to.
So how can parents and youth mend a broken relationship or a relationship that they perceive to be broken?
It's really a two-way street. Part of it falls on the young person, part of it on the parent. I always say the bigger part is on the parent because they're more experienced in life and they have a broader picture of the family and what's happening in the family. But they have to facilitate it for the young person and keep the door open, meaning allow the young person again to come and talk and try to fix things. We all make mistakes, but parents who are not too forgiving, or they're always reminding their youngsters of the mistakes they've done or the shortcomings, are going to have less of success bridging gaps with their children. So it's important that they keep the door open. We can hint to a mistake. We don't have to pound on it all the time. It's really important that we provide our youngsters with confidence and self-esteem and save their face, as they say. You want to keep them feeling good about themselves. And yeah, we made a mistake, we messed up, but it's not the end of the world. Let's move on. So I think the parents need to go back and study the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, how he dealt with young people. He had relationships with many young folks, some who worked for him, some who were his companions, some who were family members, and each of these situations had different contexts and different experiences. He would give someone some money and say, "Hey, go to the marketplace and get something for us," and the person disappears for a few hours, and he finds them playing with other kids, right? And the Prophet ﷺ would not criticize that, would not scold the child. He's like, "Hey, did you bring the errands? Did you do the errands?" And he's like, "Oh, I forgot. Okay, take care of it, come back." So that's important, is to have that type of open door policy at home. And if the youngster doesn't feel that they can come and talk at home with safety, they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to talk to someone else, a friend. And usually the friends are immature, inexperienced, so they'll give them whatever advice they know.
Well, that's all the questions we have for you today. Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you, Brother Ayman, for your time, your knowledge, and your input. And for those watching, don't forget to check out some of our older videos and to share, like, and subscribe. Have a great day.
Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you for doing this. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.